All right, so we are on February 1st, 2029, and some of our recent games have been quite ugly when it comes to losses. I mean, we had more wins than losses last month, but some of those losses, like against Tampa here, 7-2, 10-3 against Detroit, 8-2 against Buffalo, very ugly. But here's the thing, I really like this roster in terms of overall talent. Like, we're definitely underperforming. There's no doubt about that. So what I decided to do instead of having any kind of roster revamp is hire a couple of new assistant coaches in Derek Jordan and Manny Malhotra. Now, they're both much better defensive coaches than the likes of Langenbrunner or John Madden. Now, we still have them on board. We still have Langenbrunner and Madden employed. I just want to determine what the best combination of coaches is going to be for this team. And we had the staff budget anyway, so I figured why not? And we're going to take a look at Jordan's defensive skills. He's up there at 20. And his offensive skills aren't bad either. So I just want to see what difference that makes compared to John Madden. And then with Manny Malhotra being the offensive coach, he's not great with offensive skills, but he'll help the forwards develop their defensive skills, which is kind of what we need right now compared to Jamie Langenbrunner, who's more offensive based. So I really just want to see where this team goes with a different set of assistant coaches while also keeping our old assistant coaches on board. Because as of right now, we're currently sitting 3 points outside the wild card. And the rate we've been going lately, we're not passing Ottawa and Washington like that. So I figured I had to do something, but I didn't want to really touch the roster. Because like I said, there's a lot of talent on this team, and I feel like we're just really underperforming. So I want to see how much of a difference the assistant coaches can make. So I think with that being said, we'll get up to the trade deadline now. All right, so we're on the day of the trade deadline now. We are 32, 25, and 6. We're currently in the wild card, but obviously that could change at any moment, just given how close teams like New Jersey, Philly, and Carolina are. So let's take a look at some of the games we've had recently. For the most part, we've been doing better defensively, besides these past two games against Carolina and Seattle. However, it is worth noting that in that game against Carolina, it was Peterson in net, and it was Ivanov in versus Seattle. However, he actually had a 925 save percentage in that game, even though he let up 5 goals, or 4 goals technically. I guess one of them was an empty netter. Overall, I like the way we're trending, and it's pretty clear to see that Ivanov is doing much better with the current assistant coach setup that we have. He's got a 912 save percentage now. That was at 900 before, I believe. Then we'll take a look at the team stats. I think our defensive numbers should be better at this point. Oh yeah, much better. Before we were, I believe, 20th or somewhere possibly even below that for goals against per game. Now we're 14th in the league, so it's definitely gotten better. And then goals for per game, we're currently 16th, 3.25. I mean, it's not bad. Now what really counts is the penalty kill. Where are we for that? Oh yeah, okay, that's much, much better. 82.6, 7th in the league. That is what I like to see. So defensively, I think we're, despite those couple of games we just had against Carolina and Seattle, I think we're trending in the right direction. And like I said, that game against Carolina was with Peterson in net, and then that 5-4 loss against Seattle, they had like 54 shots on net. So I'm not blaming Ivanov on that one for sure. And Ivanov was the main guy who I was concerned with earlier. So I think for the most part, we're good to go into the playoffs here. Or, make the push for the playoffs. I do still feel like I want to trade Amon and Thibodeau and possibly Velikov, because I just feel like they're wasting away down there in the AHL. Now, they're all 23, but at the same time, they could also be good depth for the playoffs if we have a lot of injuries, So I'm not sure what I want to do. It's like when they do come up here, they don't simulate great, as we see by Velikov. 59 grade for offense and defense, and that's more or less the same for Amon and Thibodeau whenever they come up. So that they're definitely not players who I'd be looking to give roster spots to anytime soon. But at the same time, they're serviceable enough to where they'd be good replacement players for the playoffs. So that's where I'm kind of stuck right now. Yeah, I think I'll keep them as replacement players because it's not like we really need much of anything right now anyway. And I think I'd rather have that insurance of having them as replacement players rather than trading them for picks. And those picks may not even work out when we use them. So I think I'll just keep these guys as depth players. Some of these players are starting to get expensive. Jaeger's set to make $6 million, same for Nemestikov basically, Eriksson getting up to 3.5 now. Onishko 2.5. Might have to consider trading someone in the offseason because we're currently at 75 mil and the cap is 82, I believe. I think someone who could potentially be moving this offseason is Peterka, considering he's only played 33 games so far and only 10 points in those 33 games. Yeah, he's been quite cold this season and he hasn't even gotten injured, so I'm not sure if Peterka's contract is worth it anymore. And it's not like his grades are great either. So I'll keep him for right now, but I think going into the offseason, he's one of the guys we need to consider moving on from. Latnia, this is not the time to get injured. Poor Latnia. Knee injury for 1 to 2 months. At least Peter's coming back soon, 1 to 2 weeks, but it's going to really hurt not having Latnia for the start of the playoffs, presuming we actually make them. Oh no, Provorov. Grade 2 concussion, 1 to 2 months. This is not the time to be getting injured, guys. Alright, it's April 7th, meaning it's the end of the regular season. Did we make the playoffs? Yes, we did. Just barely. 1 point ahead of the Devils. Wow. That was a close one. At least we made it, but that was cutting it close. And obviously, injuries to Provorov and Latnia didn't help. So it looks like we're going into these playoffs without them in the first round. 2 of our best players. That is not good. But I suppose we're just going to have to make do. So with that, let's check out the stats for the end of the season. And I suppose first we'll check out the stats of the players on the injury reserve. So you have Latnia in 73 games with 62 points, Peter in 40 games with 29, and 79 games for Provorov, you have 23. And on the active roster, you have Nemestikov leading our team with 63 points. So no one really even close to point per game this year. So scoring certainly looks like it either dried up or it just leveled out with all of our players. Like everyone just did a little bit of everything, but no one really stood out sort of thing. Stenberg with 59, 54 for Jaeger, 50 for Juricek, so I believe that is a career high for him. Yes, indeed it is. Onishko with 46, 45 for Komalevsky, 43 for Eriksson, 42 for Kiviharju. So yeah, it looks like just everyone all around pitching in. Zetterberg with 40, 39 for Ingram, 34 for Makarov, 29 for Beck, 27 for Chikrin, 21 for Liljegren in 54 games, 20 for Ordelius, 14 for Peterka, 12 for Klee, 9 for Wu, and 8 for Velikov in 18 games. And then in goal, in 52 games for Ivanov, you have a 9-12 save percentage and 4 shutouts, and the same for Peterson in 36 games. So overall, pretty good. Definitely a shaky start to the season for Ivanov, but he got back on track for sure. Then let's see what the team stats sit going into the playoffs. Goals for per game, we're currently at a 3.38, finished 12th in the league. Goals against per game is at a 3.22, 16th in the league. Power play 7th in the league with a 23%. And the penalty kill 5th in the league with an 83%. And tied for first with 10 shorthanded goals. So overall pretty good. Special teams are really good. 5-on-5 looks like it kind of struggled a little bit. But I guess overall we simulated pretty well. It's definitely not ideal. Not where I thought we would be for sure. But at least we did manage to make it back to the playoffs. And hopefully we can surpass Florida in the first round, and it's going to be a tough one because they were 55, 22, and 5 during the regular season. Certainly not going to be easy.